Anyway, I always talk about how I'm having a tough week. I really feel the need to be in church today. I've just been mad at God, low key, and I don't know. I feel like I've been going through a lot of spiritual warfare. And my faith, I'm just finding myself in a really weird position with God, and I'm finding myself being upset with Him and just not in the right spiritual posture like I used to be. And we face so much every day in life, and I want to be a good example and the best example that I can be, but also like I want to be as transparent as possible, when it comes to me not always having the faith that I need to have, and not always being obedient, and just I sometimes find it very difficult to trust God, and so yeah, I've got a lot to work on. I know that for sure. Hey y'all. So it is a few hours later. I'm back from church. We just had lunch. I had just finished with the dishes actually. Church was so beautiful. Like, I definitely felt like the message spoke to me in so many ways, and I feel like I need to address, what this morning was about. It's not something easy to say, come on camera and just talk about how upset I am with God. The theme at church today was, where is God? And that was so crazy because the scripture that we read today came from Judges 6 verse 11 to 16, I think it was. Editing cast, correct me if I was mistaken. If you're interested, if you feel called to, I do want to encourage you to read it. Sometimes I don't trust God, and I've always lived a life of wanting to take control over things, and that's why I really resonated with New Age in the way that I did, because I felt like I had control somewhat over what I was doing and over my life. And loving a life in faith is just saying, you know what, God, it's all yours. Take it, do what you got to do with it. And for a really long time that was quite simple for me to do, because I didn't have anything, I didn't have any hope anymore in life. I didn't want to do certain things anymore. Like, I was like, God, just use me where you want to use me. With that being said, God has done so many great things in my life. I became a confirmation teacher in the works, and I've learned and developed so much in my faith. And even the interviews I've been doing this past couple of weeks have been so nourishing to my spirit. There's also been a lot of distractions and a lot of vulnerable and weak moments, and a lot of moments where I was just like, God, I can't do this anymore, or what are you doing, or like just hopelessness. And for so long it's like I've been living in faith, I've been giving everything to you, I've been doing everything that I need to do, God, and it just feels like you're not coming through for me. And that's where I started losing faith, because it's just like, you're like, but I'm just speaking in general terms, like I know this is something that everybody is able to relate to. If you can't, just hear me out, okay? It's been a roller coaster when you're waiting on God to come through for certain things, and you're doing everything for God, and it's not like I'm doing this in order to receive this, but it's like, God, I'm doing everything right and everything still feels like it's going wrong. Why is it not, like, why do I feel like I'm not reaping the fruits of what I'm sowing? And so many times God has just been like, Cass, just be patient, and reveal to me through confirmation over and over and over, like, patience, all in due time. And it's funny, as I speak, I don't know what scripture it is, but there's a scripture in the Bible that says, the last will be first and the first shall be last. And it's so crazy, because there was a time where God was blessing people around me with what I wanted or with what I was praying for. And at first, the first time it happened, I was like, I was so envious and so jealous, and I had to sit with myself. I really had to be like, yo, Cass, like, this is someone you're rooting for, quite literally. And I think this is something we all experience. It's like, I'm rooting for this person. Like, it's not that I'm unhappy that this person got what I wanted, but it's like, God, like, I asked for that too. So what makes this person more special than me? And I was watching this video by Deborah B at the time. That was during the time where the first will be last and the last will be first came to me. And that's when I realized that we all are in different seasons. So just because this person was in their season of blessing doesn't mean that mine is not going to come. It just means that I'm not in that season yet. God has other plans for me first before I get to that. And it's not going to be exactly like theirs was, but it's going to be different because, you know, God blesses us all different. He gives you what you need and he makes it 10 times better than you could have ever imagined. And I got to understand that through her. My mind was set on that. And so I trusted him through and I was like, okay, cool. I'm picking myself up again. Let's give this another try. I've got faith in you, God. I know you're going to make this work out for me some way, somehow. But the second time round, I was so disappointed. Because it was like, God, I trusted you again. And I feel like this is low-key how God tests us. To see how he reacts to how, you know, he blesses people around us. Just to check our heart posture firstly, because the first time round I had to check my heart posture and be like, you know. The second time round it happened on really such a random day. I was so down in the dumps, like I was really going through it, and I was just like, what again? Like okay, I get it now. I think that's just really me becoming so impatient throughout this journey. That's really what it is. Then the third time it happened again, most recently, and you know, this person was sharing their news with me and I was like, oh. Firstly, the way their situation went down showed me how fast, in literally a blink of an eye, God can change your life, right? Secondly, it showed me that maybe I'm not as prepared for this as I thought I wanted to be, or as I thought I was going to be, right? And thirdly, I could solely be happy and pray for that person. And it's not like I didn't pray for the people prior. I did. It's all these whys, who, what, when, where, and how. God's timing is not my timing. God's thoughts are not our thoughts. And I really had to sit with that so much, over and over and over and over again. And it's not easy to always be encouraged when you already feel discouraged and you see everything around you is not working out, but here you are doing the most work. I was speaking to my friend, I was like, last week, I was like, I'm so tired. Like, I'm so tired. Like, I'm growing weak in faith. And she's like, that's why we're here, you know, to encourage one another. We send each other scriptures all the time. We did the 30-day challenge, but I started becoming inconsistent. I didn't want to wake up in the mornings, like, you know, all these things. And you know, it also revealed to me my heart posture in a sense. I was just feeling really discouraged these past couple of weeks, and it's like I'm doing everything, and it still doesn't seem to be working out. So what's the use then? Friday was like the last straw for me. And then Saturday was yesterday, where I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna surround myself with my family, have good vibes. And I got to unwind a little bit and just not think about everything that's happening in my life, because there's so much. Then again, there's so much that I don't share on camera, you know what I mean? I want you guys to realize that too, that I'm also a human being with a normal life off of camera. Yesterday I was spending time with my family and I decided to work on other projects and just do things that made me feel good, because I was not feeling good at all. I didn't feel the motivation to read my Bible in the morning. I couldn't even pray, guys. Like, the best prayer I could get out was Our Father, and I don't even think I prayed that with my heart. I'm gonna be straight up. I just said it so that I could say I prayed. I think all these things needed to happen, and even our word in church today, for me to realize that God has brought me so far. And for me to always compare myself to what I do not have and expect things to happen in a time or in a season where God has other things planned for me, you know, it's all about patience and trust. And then again, I've learned so much about patience and trust, but I feel like I keep on learning so much more about patience and trust because they keep on getting tested regardless. I've really come to see that, and I can be so grateful for what I have, because I know last year this time I was praying for half of the things that I have right now, you know. And even a few months ago, when I looked back at my journal for the goals I had set for this year, literally almost everything has been ticked off. It's just like the other things that can be done in like a longer span of time, like work related for the most part, things that can still happen down the line, you know. And I mean, who knows, maybe by the end of the year that list might be complete. You know, that's how great God is, and that's how he works in our lives. And like, for me to pull up and be like, yo God, like, I'm upset with you, I also realize that we're so impatient, and we just have to trust God's plan. And my faith has been restored in church, and I think that's why it's so important. Because I was questioned, like, why do we go to church? Apart from hearing the word, us needing to renew our minds, it's also having a community and being surrounded by people who put their faith in God, people who can share their testimonies on how great God has been. Something else to have a relationship with God on your own at home, but in church as well, see other people display their faith openly is just so beautiful. I mean, I was speaking to pastors all week last week. I still on certain days couldn't pray. I couldn't, you know, but I learned so much from them. And then again, I was so inspired by these people, but it just didn't give me that enough motivation that today did. And I think it was all really events that happened that needed to happen to get to this point where I could have been like, like, why are you being so ungrateful? Why are you not being patient? I thought you said you trusted God. You said you were going to be patient. You're not being patient. That kind of thing. But yeah, I'm just so grateful, and I'm grateful to be here, and I'm grateful for God and everything that he's done in my life. I just got to be patient and wait for everything else to come into fruition, you know. Jeremiah 29 verse 11, a very famous Bible verse. For I know the plans that I have for you. Okay, my space is about to run out. But yeah, I just wanted to come here and share that. I hope you took something from it. I have so much to be grateful for. You have so much to be grateful for. We have breath, we can see, we can feel, we can hear. I have a roof over my head, clothes on my body, food on my table. All my needs are fulfilled. Like, other people don't get to say that. And that's just the tip of the iceberg, you know. That's just like surface level things that we take for granted every day. So yeah, so much can change so quickly, and I just want to encourage you who are feeling the same way to just trust God and just let him do his work. And it's so easy to say, I trust you, God, but actually walking in faith and walking in that heart posture that I trust you, and I know that you're gonna do everything you say you're going to do. So yeah, man, I'm in awe. So many times I can testify of God's grace, because I know I wouldn't be where I am right now if it wasn't for him. I know my relationship with my parents wouldn't be where it is right now if it wasn't for him. I know my relationship with my partner wouldn't be where it is right now if it wasn't for him. I know my relationship with my siblings and everybody else and everything that I do, and even on YouTube, my relationship with you wouldn't be where it is if it wasn't for God. You know what I mean? And I wouldn't be able to come here and encourage you. And God's just getting started. God doesn't do something halfway and then stop. And I mean, these past couple of weeks, I've been studying the God-Israel relationship, and it's been so beautiful. Actually, let me know down in the comments if you guys want me to speak on it and give you guys a bit of a word on it, because it's I can speak for hours about the God-Israel relationship and how it relates to us. The God-Israel relationship is like a very strong bond. It is God and his people, and he makes a way and performs miracles each and every time for them. And just how they lose faith as well as we do, then he performs a miracle in their lives and their faith is restored, and then something happens again and they're faithless. It's just a cycle, and it's sometimes so frustrating when I read it, but it reminds me so much of myself and how we are as people. You know, we're so quick to be like, God, I trust you, and then something goes wrong and it's like, God, where are you? Like, what? Like, instead of just trusting God when he says he has it in the bag, he has it in the bag. There's nothing more to it. Do you feel me? Anyway, I'm gonna stop talking because this is about to be long, and y'all not trying to watch 5-hour long videos of me the last time I checked. Anyway, may God bless you and keep you, and I pray that with everything that you're dealing with, that you may find encouragement, and that God may provide you with peace that surpasses all understanding. May you continue being blessed, and thank you for being here and sharing the space with me and for listening to me. talk about how great God is, because I could do this all day. But anyway, yeah, peace.
If we fix our focus, we shift our perspective, and we find ways to make sense of the cards that we were dealt in life, and we find ways to turn them into empowering offerings, empowering storylines, chapters within our own book, this will give us the strength to discover that potential and embrace it and illuminate it all over our path. This is the power that we have. Sharing your experiences, no matter how heavy they feel, can help others feel less alone. You have a gift, you have a story, you have value because of your experiences, because of your being, because of your faults. Remember, we see no fault in being a human being. One of the best feelings is probably transcending a difficult space, then sharing the light you cultivated within that space and illuminating another path. This allows us to see the magic in our own life, right? And then we often see it happening for a reason, so now it brings more meaning to life. When we can live without performance and stop being so afraid of releasing parts of ourselves and giving people permission to do so, maybe it happened for a reason. Maybe our vulnerability being exposed was necessary for their hope. Living without performance and not being afraid to expose all parts of yourself gives people permission to do the same in their lives. That is why we love stories from those who we deem successful. We get insight into the raw and their vulnerable moments that we are also going through as well. But if you've journeyed through pain, you are a success. You have wisdom. You have an offering. It's not just the wealthy who have a story or who have value. No, each one of us do. Because the greatest story you will ever know is the one you live and share yourself. But also know, it is your story. It doesn't have to always be shared. If you share it from a place of power. Your journey to healing is a personal one. Sometimes it's better to just let experiences sit and integrate before sharing them. You let them stew, you meditate on it, and when it aligns and it feels right, you let it shine bright. Remember, the upgrade is in your consciousness. Your free will to choose, to share, to preserve. It's your story. Go and write it. Go and tell it. Go experience it.